Ladies and gentlemen, let's get one thing straight. The way men treat you is not about them, it's about you. If you want to be treated like a queen, you have to act like one first. That doesn't mean arrogance. That doesn't mean entitlement. That means knowing who you are and what you deserve and refusing to accept anything less. Too many women lower their standards because they're afraid of being alone. They tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, and emotional unavailability because they think maybe this is just how it is. You don't get what you want in life, you get what you tolerate. If you keep making excuses for bad behavior, guess what? You're teaching men that they can treat you that way and get away with it. A queen does not beg for attention. A queen does not justify her worth. A queen does not tolerate half-hearted love. She commands respect, not through words, but through action. That means setting clear boundaries and actually enforcing them. If a man is inconsistent, step back. If he disrespects you, walk away. If he plays games, don't play back, exit the game entirely. And let's talk about confidence, because confidence is not about looking perfect or being loud. Confidence is about knowing that you are the prize. It's about walking into a room and not needing validation from anyone. It's about having the guts to say, this is what I want, this is what I expect, and if you can't meet that, I'll find someone who can. Because here's the truth, when you start treating yourself like a queen, men will have no choice but to step up or step out. And let's be real, not everyone will like it. Some people will call you too much. Some men will say you're too high maintenance. Let them. The ones who can't handle you at your fullest, at your strongest, are the exact ones you don't want in your life anyway. The right man will respect your strength, not resent it. But this isn't just about relationships, it's about life. Because when you start holding yourself to a higher standard, everything around you changes. You start attracting better opportunities, better friendships, and yes, better men. Not because you're lucky, but because you expect better and you're willing to walk away from anything that doesn't align with your worth. So from this moment forward, stop waiting for someone to treat you like a queen and become one first. Set the standard, hold the boundary, walk with confidence. And most importantly, never settle for anything less than you deserve. Because the moment you do that, everything in your life will change. The way men treat you is a direct reflection of how you treat yourself. If you want respect, admiration, and devotion, you have to start by setting the standard for how you expect to be treated. That begins with your own self-worth. When you carry yourself with confidence and self-respect, the world takes notice. Men take notice. People take notice. Think about it when you see someone who moves with certainty, who speaks with authority, who doesn't apologize for taking up space. You automatically respect them. It's human nature. And yet, so many women are walking through life, shrinking themselves, second-guessing their worth, and waiting for someone else to validate them. That's not how queens operate. A queen doesn't wait to be chosen. She chooses herself first. When you make decisions from a place of self-respect, everything changes. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop justifying bad behavior. You stop chasing people who don't see your value. Because here's the truth. The moment you accept less than you deserve, you're teaching people that it's okay to treat you that way. If you allow a man to cancel on you last minute without consequence, he'll do it again. If you accept inconsistency and mixed signals, you're signaling that you're okay with it. If you let someone walk all over your boundaries, you're telling them they can keep doing it. But when you respect yourself, you don't need to say anything. Your energy speaks for itself. You don't beg for respect. You don't explain your worth. You embody it. And men who are used to getting away with disrespect will either rise to meet your standards or fade out of your life. Either way, you win. So how do you actually implement this? It starts with the way you treat yourself every single day, the way you talk to yourself, the way you carry yourself, the way you handle situations where people test your boundaries. Do you stand firm or do you let things slide because you're afraid of losing someone? Let's talk about body language. When you walk into a room, do you slouch and avoid eye contact or do you stand tall and own your space? When you speak, do you mumble and downplay your words or do you communicate with confidence? These small behaviors send powerful messages about how you see yourself. And the way you see yourself determines how others see you. Respecting yourself also means holding yourself to a higher standard. What do you accept in your life? What do you tolerate? Do you settle for relationships that drain you, friendships that bring you down, or habits that don't serve you? If so, You're sending a message not just to the world, but to yourself that you don't believe you deserve better. And if you don't believe it, why would anyone else? One of the biggest game changers is learning how to say no without guilt. No to situations that don't align with your values. No to people who don't treat you the way you deserve. No to anything that makes you feel small. A woman who respects herself does not feel the need to justify or over-explain. She simply knows her worth, and that alone is enough. And let's be real, some people won't like it. Some men will say, you're too picky, too demanding, too much. That's fine. Let them think that. Because the right ones will recognize your worth and step up. The wrong ones will fall away, and that's exactly what you want. You don't need 100 men to see your value. You just need one who respects, admires, and cherishes you, and that will never happen if you're bending over backward trying to prove yourself to the wrong ones. At the end of the day, the way people treat you is a mirror of how you treat yourself. Start acting like the queen you are. Set the standard. Stand by it. And watch how everything around you starts to shift. A queen does not beg for respect. She commands it through clear, firm boundaries. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about defining what you will and will not accept in your life. They are the invisible lines that protect your peace, your energy, and your self-worth. If you want to be treated like a queen, you must first learn how to protect yourself from anything and anyone who does not align with your standards. The problem is that too many women fear setting boundaries because they don't want to upset people. They don't want to be labeled as difficult or too much. But here's the truth. The people who get upset when you set boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. A woman without boundaries is an easy target for manipulation, disrespect, and emotional exhaustion. But a woman who knows her worth and isn't afraid to enforce it, she is untouchable. So how do you set boundaries in a way that commands respect? First, you have to get clear on what your non-negotiables are. What behaviors are you no longer willing to tolerate? What situations make you feel drained, disrespected, or undervalued? If you don't define these things for yourself, people will continue to test your limits, and you will find yourself constantly feeling frustrated, used, and unheard. Once you know your boundaries, the next step is enforcing them. This is where most people struggle, because setting a boundary is easy. Maintaining it is hard. A queen does not set boundaries and then make exceptions for people who disrespect them. If someone crosses the line, you address it. If they do it again, you walk away. No debates. No justifications. No second chances for repeat offenders. The biggest mistake women make is thinking that enforcing a boundary requires anger or aggression. It doesn't. You don't have to argue, explain yourself, or beg for someone to respect you. You simply state your boundary and follow through with action. If you tell a man that you will not tolerate inconsistent communication and he continues to be inconsistent, you don't keep reminding him. You don't beg him to change. You remove yourself from the situation. One of the most powerful phrases you can learn is, "That doesn't work for me. No explanation needed." If a man expects you to settle for last-minute plans, you say, "That doesn't work for me." If someone speaks to you in a way that is disrespectful, you say, "I don't allow people to talk to me like that." If a friend constantly takes advantage of your kindness, you say, "I can't continue to engage in this dynamic." Clear, direct, non-negotiable. The people who respect you will adjust. The ones who don't will leave, and that's a good thing. You don't need to keep people in your life who don't respect your boundaries. A queen is not afraid of losing people. She is afraid of losing herself by constantly lowering her standards to accommodate others. And here's something important to remember. Boundaries are not just about how you let others treat you. They're also about how you treat yourself. Do you respect your own time, or do you constantly put yourself last? Do you prioritize your own happiness, or do you spend all your energy pleasing others? Because if you don't respect yourself, no one else will. You have to set boundaries with yourself first. Stop engaging in negative self-talk. Stop making excuses for people who don't show up for you. Stop tolerating behaviors both from yourself and from others that go against the life you want to create. When you hold yourself accountable, when you operate with self-respect, the world will mirror that back to you. Some people will try to test you. They'll try to push your limits to see if you're serious. This is when you have to stand firm. A queen does not negotiate her standards. She does not bend her boundaries to make others comfortable. She understands that by holding her ground, she is teaching people exactly how to treat her. The moment you stop accepting less, the moment you refuse to tolerate disrespect, everything shifts. People will start to admire your strength. They will see you as someone who values herself, and they will either step up to meet your standards or step out of your life. Either way, you win. Because you are living as a woman who knows her worth, and that is the foundation for being treated like a queen. A queen does not chase, she attracts. The moment you start valuing yourself, the world responds in kind. Too often, women feel like they have to prove their worth, prove they are good enough, prove they deserve respect, prove they are worthy of love. But the truth is, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. The moment you stop chasing, you put yourself in a position of power. Think about it. When you chase, you put yourself beneath the thing you're chasing. Whether it's a man, validation, attention, or approval, the energy of chasing says, I need you more than you need me. That energy is repelling. People can sense desperation, and it is the fastest way to lose respect. A queen never begs. She never pleads for attention or fights for a spot in someone's life. She simply exists in her full power, and the right people naturally gravitate toward her. When you stop chasing, you shift your focus from external validation to internal self-worth. Instead of wondering, why won't he text me back, or why doesn't that person appreciate me? You ask yourself, do I even want to be around someone who doesn't see my value? So how do you stop chasing and start attracting? You start by shifting your mindset. Instead of thinking, I need them to choose me, you start thinking, I choose myself. Instead of bending over backward to please others, you focus on pleasing yourself. You take care of your mental, emotional, and physical well-being because you know that a woman who is whole within herself is unstoppable. This also means setting standards. A queen does not accept breadcrumbs. If someone is inconsistent, if someone makes you feel like you have to earn their attention, if someone does not respect your time, you walk away immediately. The moment you accept less than you deserve, you tell the world that you are okay with mediocrity. And you are not. You must also get comfortable with being alone. Many women chase because they fear solitude. They think being alone means being unwanted. But in reality, being alone is where you find your true power. It is where you build yourself up, where you heal, where you gain clarity on what you truly want. When you are comfortable being alone, you become selective about who you allow into your life. And that right there is the key to being treated like a queen. The moment you stop chasing and start attracting, everything changes. The right people will come into your life effortlessly. You will no longer have to convince someone to see your value. You will be surrounded by those who recognize it without you having to prove anything. And that, my friend, is true power. Silence is one of the most underrated forms of power. In a world where everyone feels the need to explain, justify, and prove themselves, choosing silence makes you stand out. A queen knows that not every situation requires a response. She understands that her energy is precious, and wasting it on things or people that don't serve her is beneath her. The moment you learn to master your silence, you begin to command a whole new level of respect. Silence is not weakness, it's strategy. When you're constantly explaining yourself, defending your choices, or trying to convince people of your worth, you are giving away your power. You're telling the world that their opinions matter more than your own. But when you stay silent, you're sending a completely different message. I don't need your approval. When someone disrespects you, silence is often the loudest response. Most people expect a reaction. They expect you to argue, explain, or beg for understanding. But when you stay quiet, you leave them with their own words. You force them to sit in the discomfort of their actions. Your silence makes them question themselves, not you. This doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you choose your battles wisely. It means you learn that not every comment needs a clapback. Not every insult needs a defense. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away without saying a word, because your energy is too valuable to be wasted on people who thrive on chaos. Silence also gives you control over your emotions. When you're silent, you give yourself time to process before reacting. You separate yourself from the heat of the moment. This self-control is what separates queens from everyone else. While others react out of anger or insecurity, you move with grace and intention. You respond only when necessary, and when you do, Your words carry more weight. One of the biggest mistakes women make is feeling like they need to explain themselves to everyone. You don't owe anyone a detailed explanation for why you set boundaries, why you walked away, or why you're choosing yourself. No is a complete sentence. I'm not comfortable with that is a valid reason. The moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment you truly take your power back. People will test you. They'll push your boundaries to see if you'll break. They'll criticize your decisions. They'll try to guilt trip you into doing what they want. But when you meet those tests with silence, silence also protects your peace. When you stop engaging in pointless conversations, gossip, and drama, you create more space for what truly matters. You free your mind from the noise of other people's opinions. You become more focused, more centered, and more aligned with your own goals. Another reason silence is so powerful is that it makes people curious. When you don't overshare or constantly explain yourself, people start wondering what's going on in your mind. They start paying closer attention to your actions. Your silence forces them to lean in and respect what you have to say because you only speak when it's truly necessary. There's nothing more magnetic than a woman who doesn't seek validation. When you stop chasing conversations, when you stop explaining your every move, when you stop reacting to every little thing, you start radiating a different kind of confidence. The kind of confidence that says, I know who I am and I don't need to prove it to anyone. But here's the thing. Mastering silence requires self-discipline. It requires you to sit with the discomfort of not defending yourself. It requires you to resist the urge to explain or seek approval. It requires you to trust that your value doesn't decrease just because someone else fails to see it. The more you practice silence, the stronger you become. You stop seeking closure from others and start finding it within yourself. You stop giving people access to your emotions unless they've earned that privilege. You realize that your peace is far more important than anyone's opinion of you. A queen knows that not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult is worth addressing. Not every misunderstanding needs to be cleared up. Some things are beneath her and she knows it. She holds her head high, guards her energy, and moves on without ever breaking her stride. When you master the art of silence, you become a force. You stop reacting to every little thing and start focusing on your own growth. You show people that your presence is a privilege, not a right. And in that silence, you discover your greatest power, the ability to walk away from anything that does not honor your worth. Confidence is the most powerful thing a woman can wear. It's not about what you look like, what you have, or how others perceive you. It's about how you feel about yourself. When you start carrying yourself like a queen, people will have no choice but to treat you like one. It's not arrogance. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about knowing your worth, holding your head high, and refusing to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Confidence is built from the inside out. It's not something you're born with. It's something you decide to embody. It starts with small daily choices that reinforce your self-worth. How do you speak to yourself? Do you build yourself up or do you tear yourself down with negative self-talk? The way you talk to yourself in private dictates how you show up in the world. If you constantly criticize yourself, you will carry that energy with you. But if you start affirming your worth, standing tall, and believing in yourself, you will start to radiate a different energy, one that demands respect. People pick up on how you feel about yourself. If you walk into a room doubting yourself, second-guessing your worth, and waiting for approval, people will treat you accordingly. But when you walk in knowing who you are, owning your presence, and moving with certainty, you set the tone for how others interact with you. You don't wait for validation. You are the validation. A woman who carries herself with confidence is unforgettable. She doesn't beg for attention. She commands it, not because she's loud or aggressive, but because her presence is undeniable. It's the way she holds herself, the way she speaks, and the way she moves through the world. She doesn't try to prove anything to anyone. She simply exists in her full power. Confidence isn't about being fearless. It's about acting despite fear. It's about making bold choices, stepping outside of your comfort zone, and backing yourself even when no one else does. It's about trusting yourself enough to go after what you want without hesitation. When you do that, you create a magnetic energy that draws people in. You don't have to chase anyone. You don't have to convince anyone to see your worth. They will see it because you see it. Setting boundaries is another major key to exuding confidence. When you respect yourself enough to say no, to walk away from situations that don't serve you, and to protect your energy, people take notice. A queen does not tolerate disrespect. She does not allow toxic people to drain her. She does not lower her standards to fit into spaces that were never meant for her. She chooses herself unapologetically. And because she does, others treat her with the respect she demands. Posture, eye contact, and tone of voice also play a huge role in how confident you appear. Slouching, avoiding eye contact, and speaking in a hesitant, uncertain tone communicate insecurity. But when you stand tall, maintain eye contact, and speak with clarity and conviction, people take you seriously. Even if you don't feel 100% confident in the moment, adjusting your body language can trick your brain into believing you are. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Confidence is also about independence. A woman who is secure in herself does not need anyone. She chooses who she allows into her life. She's not desperate for love, attention, or approval. She knows she is whole on her own, and that right there is what makes her irresistible. Because nothing is more attractive than a woman who is content in her own skin, who isn't looking for someone to complete her, but instead looking for someone who complements the incredible life she's already built. Confidence also means embracing your imperfections. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. In fact, it's your uniqueness, your flaws, and your realness that make you magnetic. Stop chasing perfection and start owning who you are. Confidence is about showing up as your authentic self without apology. The moment you stop trying to be what the world wants you to be and start fully embracing who you are, you become unstoppable. The way you dress, the way you carry yourself, and the way you show up for yourself all contribute to the way people treat you. But at the core, it all comes down to how you see yourself. Do you see yourself as a queen? Do you believe in your own power? Because the moment you do, the world will mirror it right back to you. Confidence is not given, it's claimed. It's a decision you make every single day, a decision to walk in your power, to own your space, and to never again settle for less than you deserve. A woman who embodies confidence, who knows her worth, and who refuses to shrink herself for anyone is a woman who will always be treated like a queen.